Imagine being so monumentally stupid that you think you can stop the Mongol tide with a mud wall and a dream. That is the fundamental delusion of every empire that thinks it's too big to fail. Today, we aren't just looking at history. We are looking at the autopsy of the Khwarazmian Empire, a civilization that was once the glittering jewel of the world, only to be erased from the map because of one man's greed. It starts in 1218. Genghis Khan, the architect of the steppe, sent a massive diplomatic envoy for 50 merchants and diplomats, 500 camels laden with pure silver, silk, and precious stones bearing a white banner of peace, enter the governor of Otrar and Alchk. Look at him standing on that wall, arrogant, blinded by his own status. He didn't see a diplomatic mission. He saw a payday. He convinced himself these were spies, seized their immense wealth, and slaughtered every last one of them. He committed the ultimate sin. He killed the messenger. When the news reached Genghis, the laughter across the steppes died instantly. Genghis didn't scream. He didn't rage. He went to a sacred mountain alone. He took off his belt and his cap, the symbols of his power, and lay face down in the dirt for 3 days. He wept. He wasn't crying for the dead. He was crying because he knew the math of the retribution he was about to unleash. When he finally stood up, he had a single, terrifying clarity. This war was no longer an option. It was a mandatory deletion. The Shah expected a conventional, slow-moving invasion from the east. He fortified his borders and waited. But Genghis was already moving like a ghost. He split his army, executing a pincer movement on a continental scale. While the Shah watched the front, the Mongol war machine did the impossible. They crossed the Kizilkum Desert. It was a wasteland that the Shah's own advisors called impenetrable. The Mongols flowed over the dunes like water, moving in silence, carrying nothing but their weapons, and materialized behind the Shah's lines. The collapse was total. Their invincible cities were systematically dismantled, their stone arches crumbling under the weight of a force they couldn't even comprehend. And Analchk, the man who stole the silver and started this hell, he was captured alive. Legend has it that Genghis didn't just execute him. He delivered a lesson in irony. They melted down the very silver he had stolen, and as the governor begged for his life, they poured the molten metal directly into his eyes and ears. The wage of his greed was paid in full, in the literal heat of his own avarice, but the Khan wasn't finished. He didn't just want the territory. He wanted the corruption scrubbed from the earth. He ordered his engineers to redirect the mighty rivers of the region. He turned the water into a weapon, flooding the fields, washing away the irrigation networks, and dissolving the very foundations of the cities, until the maps of the Khwarazmian Empire literally became blank space. By the time the Mongols were done, the silence was absolute. What was once the center of the world was reduced to salt, silt, and dust. History doesn't remember the Shah's name with respect. It remembers it as a cautionary tale of what happens when you mistake your own arrogance for reality. Arrogance always comes with a receipt, and when you insult the Mongol tide, you don't just lose the war, you lose your place in history. If you think you're safe because you've got walls and gold, look at the sand. Because the Mongols always collect. And if you want to know which empire is next on the list to be deleted, smash that subscribe button and let me know who you want me to break down next.